Today I'm gonna teach you how to tank every boss in single tempo. I think this raid has been like one of the hardest tanking fights I have ever seen in a while, guys. So yeah, we got a lot to break down. We're gonna start with Atal. This guy is the first guy in the dungeon. He's super easy, like always they put the easiest guy at the first. He spawns pillars on the ground. All you gotta do is tank him and face your back against the pillars. So when you get knocked back, you go through the pillars and you break him, and that's pretty much it. Like he does some damage sometimes. Just try not to line of sight your healers, you know, that's the only way you can possibly die to this guy, is really easy. Next fight is gonna be the Festering Rod Slime, and this fight is, I think, my favorite fight in the raid. I think it is hilarious, guys. So you got like this big slime guy, and like he likes to run on circles. You gotta clear the whole place, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that before, but yeah, you gotta pre-clear before Atal. You gotta clear the whole circle around the top, all the balconies, everything. It's a pain in the butt. But after you clear all the trash, you can summon this guy, and he's gonna spawn, and he's gonna run in circles in a clockwise pattern. He's gonna be patrolling. So this fight is rather long. That's the first part of it. It takes a long time to kill him because he starts like kinda immune to damage and he becomes weaker over time. And he's gonna be spawning poison on the ground. You cannot stand on the poison, that's very bad for you. So what happens is that you're gonna be having to like be back paddling. I don't know, you're not supposed to back paddle. Okay, I back paddle. Put me in jail. I don't know, crucify me. You're gonna be going behind you, dragging the boss, kiting the boss, because he's gonna keep dropping poison and you gotta keep moving away from the poison. And you're gonna see there's like these purple objects. There's candles, there's like stone plates, whatever you can see, drums. And those things you can actually hit them, you can actually DPS them, okay? Your DPS are supposed to kill them because you can then grab them to the ground, and then when he eats them, because like when they die you put them to 0 HP, the slime guy is gonna eat them all up. He's gonna lose stacks, that's gonna make him weaker, and after you get a certain amount of those, it takes a long time, he becomes like super weak and you can nuke him pretty fast. So that also means that just because you're kiting the poison, it doesn't mean you should kite too fast, because you're slowing down the process of him eating the items and dying faster. So it's a balancing act. In this fight in particular, guys, I gotta tell you, okay, warrior bias here, I think Intervene is amazing. Intervene is one of the best runes you can take for this fight, because you can be tanking the guy, and when he drops the poison, you can just intervene a DPS on the backline or a healer in the backline or whatever, and you're gonna be safe. And not only you're gonna be safe, there's also gonna be like a couple seconds worth of damage that he's not gonna do to you because he's not in range while he chases you, you see? Also, this fight is long, as I said, so that means put on shield block. You're gonna have to shield block all you can, just to save the healer's mana. You're not really in danger of one-shots. We're gonna talk about fights with one-shots later. You're not in danger of like a lot of burst damage here. It's just a matter of, if you have the spare rage to hold yourself and spare a little healer mana, do it, because this fight takes a long time. So anyway, if the DPSers are killing the items and you're moving him slowly back behind you, you're eventually gonna kill him. He just takes enough stacks of the item thingy and then you just nuke him. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. The only way you can die on this is 1, you stand on poison, 2, other people stand in poison, 3, people don't kill the items, or 4, nobody's dispelling the diseases. There is diseases that do a lot of damage, you gotta dispel them. If you are Horde, of course, that is super easy. You just drop the disease cleansing totem and there goes that mechanic. But yeah, diseases are very nasty in this fight. Of course, you can just dispel it and it's not a problem. And yeah, overall, just a very fun, a very honest, very fair mechanic. I really like this fight, guys. Okay, next fight is gonna be the Atal Defenders. This fight is fairly simple, guys. There's gonna be 6 guys in the raid. You're gonna around the circle, and you are gonna pull one. You're gonna fight that guy. Then another one comes in. You gotta fight that guy and the previous guy. And like it mounts up every time. You fight 2, then you fight 3, then you fight 4, vice versa. The good thing is once you kill one of the guys, you can CC them, okay? So what you're supposed to do is grab whoever you're supposed to be killing now for the first time, whoever is the next guy in the line, you pick him up and you drag him to the middle, and you just DPS him down. The next phase is gonna spawn the previous guy and the next guy. Of course, you tank the next guy and drag him back to the middle again like before. And you're gonna have to CC the previous one. You can use Shackle, you can use the Hunter Trap, something like that. You're gonna need 5 of those to do this fight, right? From my numbers that I've seen in this fight, they don't particularly hit hard. I mean, you could probably tank like 2 or 3 at the same time if you really wanted to, but you can just CC them and skip the whole thing. So on and so forth 6 times until they are dead. Yeah, that's it. It's pretty easy. All you gotta remember is that you gotta do the shackles right, and you gotta kick them. They cast some nasty spells sometimes. You gotta kick them. That's it. Next fight is gonna be Dreamsight and Weaver. Okay, this fight is very simple and it took us a wipe because like we kinda didn't organize it before. I'm gonna tell you what you gotta do before the pool. You gotta mark whichever one of the dragons. You're gonna need 2 tanks for this one, okay? This is not solo tankable. And you make sure that whoever tanks one of the dragons only tanks that dragon, and whoever tanks the other dragon only tanks that other dragon. And the guys are gonna come in 1-on-1, right? There's gonna be first, I think, Dreamsight, and then it's gonna be Weaver. They're gonna rotate in between each other. The only real mechanic of these guys is that they do like a knockback and you get thrown. You can get thrown in the hole in the middle and you die, okay? Gusu style. So what that means, guys, is that you gotta angle it a little. I'm gonna try to explain it a little easier for you. You should be standing not quite outside of the circle. Of course, there's green stuff outside and it kills you. You're gonna see in the pool that we killed them. I actually fell down on that stuff because I messed it up, but we still got them. If you stand kinda outside but not quite outside, and you are against him to the side, you are almost guaranteed that he's not gonna knock you back into the circle. It's kinda hard. I'm gonna put like a drawing thingy so you can tell what I mean. Like tank him away but not in the center. Tank him off center, if so to speak, and you angle yourself off center too. So one of the tanks one guy, you face him, you kill him, then another guy comes in, the other guy picks that one up, you know, according to their assignment. That guy also DPSs it, they face it. Rinse and repeat. You are very careful on the knockups. I'm gonna drop a weak aura, guys. I'm gonna drop a weak aura. I finally got to work. I found a weak aura on WAGO.io, but it couldn't work, so I had to do some changes to it. But it's gonna be available in my Discord. It's gonna be credited to the guy, I forgot the name, the guy that made it. It's very good. It just had a bug on it. I just fixed it. But it will tell you when the knockup is happening, so you can just play it safe. It also has like all the mechanics for the raid anyway, so you might as well get it. And when the 2 come in, guys, okay, this is the actual scary part. Of course, you need both tanks tanking him. And the hard part, the scary part, is that they both are going to do the knockup, one and then the other in succession. So that is a lot easier to get knocked back. Now, if you want to do it the easy way, the traditional, the intended quote-unquote way, what you gotta do is like one tank tanks on one side, the other tank tanks on the other side of the circle, and that way it is very hard for you to get knocked back into the circle. You gotta get really unlucky. And if you stack both the dragons in this position, you're not gonna get knocked back into the middle. Of course, you gotta reposition every time you get knocked back, and it's kind of a pain to set this up. You gotta be well coordinated with both the tanks. But this has the benefit of being able to clip both dragons down for more damage. You see, the dragons have both combined HP bars, so if I hit one dragon, the other dragon loses HP and vice versa. So you can just focus on DPSing one of the dragons or whoever has the most threat on you, and that's fine. But of course, if you put them both together and you clip them, you do double damage, so how can you compete with that, you know? If you're in progression, I would do it the separate way, and if you are in actual farm now, that you're confident, you know the same people, you're doing it every time, you can stack them and get more damage out of it for better parses. It doesn't really matter. Once you figure out the knockback part, this fight is super easy. Next fight is gonna be Jalanogom and Ogom, okay? This fight is gonna require 2 tanks again. I think you can solo tank this fight eventually, but not right now. The damage is kinda wacko. I wanna see what happens once you get the gear to be able to survive this. So you're gonna need the tank that pumps the most threat, your main tank, to pick up Ogom. That's the guy you gotta kill first. And he's gonna pick him up and he's gonna drag him away. The off tank has to pick up Jalanogom and just keep him away from the raid too, because you cannot hit him, so you gotta just keep him away so people don't have to mess with him. This fight has 2 issues. First of all, Jalanogom is gonna do Holy Novas. You're gonna see him cast it, and honestly, once you just see him start casting it, all you should do is just move a little while you're tanking, like just start walking immediately, because he throws them to wherever the previous position you were have when he casted it. So if you start moving, you're very likely to dodge it, even if you don't really actually intentionally dodge it. He's gonna drop a bunch of circles on the ground. That's the Holy Novas. You gotta just dodge them. You are also, as a tank, if you are a horde, you just take Tremor Totem and it's not a big deal, but if you are Alliance, you're gonna need the tank to be Fear Ward, because he is gonna fear the melee people, the melee range people, so that sucks. Of course, if you are really smart, you can do Berserker Rage and skip it, but it doesn't really matter. Just go for a Fear Ward or a Tremor Totem, don't sweat on it, it's not a big deal if you gotta wait for 1 tick to get out of the sphere. And the second mechanic, and this is the nasty, his mass penance, he's just gonna do a bunch of damage to the whole raid. It sucks. It does a lot of damage. That's not really your problem, that's a healer problem, but that's why you need 2 tanks in this in progression, because the damage is way too much for a normal healer to handle right now. Of course, once we get gear, I think we're gonna see people solo tanking the whole fight, but not right now. It was pretty easy, we one-shot it. It sounds a little scary, but if you can heal through it, it's fine. The next fight is gonna be more fast, and I don't even remember the name of the other guy. It doesn't really matter because you're not gonna see him. So this is a green dragon guy that patrols around. Okay, you gotta pull him. You're gonna have to tank him right where I am. You see how I'm tanking right in a corner there? That's intentional. You see, you're gonna have to have the whole raid line of sight him later. So in phase 1, you're gonna have to tank him where I stand. And the problem is, this guy, basically, he does a trillion damage if you let him stack up the debuff. You can fall off the debuff naturally later in the next phase, but the problem is, you're not gonna make it to the next phase if you don't. So like what we had to do is we had to do a tank swap. We had to take 2 tanks. So you just tank him a little bit, you get like 3 stacks of the debuff, and then the other guy comes in and he takes the next stacks until the next phase. Aside from that, it's a fairly simple tank and spank. Of course, the next phase is gonna go to sleep, so you gotta line of sight him right away. You gotta hide behind the corner or he's gonna get you. If he gets you, he pulls you into a dream and you gotta kill a bunch of vines to escape the dream, kinda like Kelris in BFDs, the same mechanic. Either way, he's gonna do that sleep thing, and then there's gonna be some flame elementals that spawn, and you're gonna need one of the tanks to pick it up and of course kill them down and then go back to hitting the boss. Also guys, when you start this fight, there is a deceptively tight wall that drops in when you start, so make sure everybody's kinda close to the boss before you pull, because they're gonna get locked out of the fight. It happened the first pull. But aside from that, all you gotta do is survive, grasp yourself, do your shield blocks, do whatever you have to do to get through the whole damage thing. It's pretty crazy. If you have 2 tanks, you can just tank swap it and survive it a lot more reliably, but you can solo tank it. I have seen it happen. And then you do the dreamer phase, and then you pick him back up and you put him to the same position over and over and over and over and over. It's pretty simple. Next fight, and this is gonna be the hardest fight I had to do in a long time, guys. This took me, I caused like 3 pulls in a row for my raid here, so yeah, not happy about that, but I figured it out eventually. It took me a long time to figure it out, and guys, you gotta accept that it's gonna take a lot of honest mistakes to get this fight right. It's kinda complex. We're gonna start breaking down Shade of Eranicus. First of all, you start and you go to Eranicus and you pull him right away. You just charge in and you tank him where it is, the front towards where he's looking at the time. You don't have to move him at all. All the other raid is gonna go to the side. It doesn't really matter what side, as long as they are all in the same side. And the range people are gonna be baiting clouds the same way that they used to bait the shadow thingy in Kelris. You know, like you had people on the range, they will be all the way in the back, all stacked up, and then they will move and move and move and move and move. And that way you can spread out the clouds as much as you can. You're gonna need them for later. The hard part of this fight, aside from the next phase that I'm gonna explain, is that he does a ton of damage, like so much damage. I checked out the combat log. He swung me for 3000 after I blocked him, okay? I blocked that swing and it still did 3000 damage. I barely lived it. So this guy can easily 100 to 0 you if you mess up a single shield block, and that happened to me. That's one of the wipes I caused. I forgot shield block like for 1 swing, and like he got this trash. I am told, guys, they nerfed this to the ground. I am told he doesn't do as much damage since this morning. I am gonna have to believe it when I see it. But yeah, you forget a single shield block and you die. I am also gonna drop a weak ore I found to keep track of shield block. It makes it a little easier. I might as well. It's also on the Discord. But if you are not a warrior, you gotta ask whoever the warrior in your raid is to keep Thunderclap and Demoralizing Shout on this guy at all times. And you probably don't want to get Curse or Recklessness on this guy yet, because you're not gonna survive it. It's insane. Provided you can survive through the damage, there is not a lot you can do here. You just take the breaths head on and you just tank him and tank him and tank him. He's gonna reduce your armor, that's why he does so much damage. He's gonna be doing this spell, it's called Bellowing Roar. You gotta kick it, that's a fear. You get feared, he breathes the raid, you die. So make sure you can kick the Bellowing Roar. If you're a tank, you probably have a kick. Is there a tank that doesn't have a kick anymore? The Paladin, maybe? Yeah, that's probably the Paladin, the only one, right? No, they got Rebuke now. Everybody has a kick, you gotta kick it. Once you're getting down to 70% and to 40%, there's 2 phases here. He's gonna do like a sleep thing and he's gonna spam a bunch of ads. You need whoever is the best AoE tank in the raid. That guy is gonna be the off tank this fight. He's gonna have to... You keep tanking the boss, by the way. That guy is gonna keep pick up all the ads, and we're gonna take him to a corner where all the range are, and we're gonna nuke him as fast as possible. If you don't keep the ads fast enough, you die. Another trick is that if you're a tank tanking those alts, you can kick the spells of those alts too. You should try to do that too if you can. Number one priority is you stack them up as cleanly as possible so you can AoE them as quickly as possible. You're getting first 2 giant Gaiads and then we're gonna get whelps, and while the whelps are already spawned, like right away, you're gonna see him cast Waking Nightmare. The Wickor is gonna do like BAM! That means bad. It means really, really bad, okay? You gotta stand on a cloud, one of the clouds that spawned. You gotta run there as soon as you can, because if he casts that thing and you're not inside a cloud, you are going to die. There is a very short time notice as a tank to do this. Of course, if you're a DPS, you just go there a little early, screw everybody, you're fine. If you're a tank, you get like such a tiny window, you gotta keep attention to it. You forget once you die. You can intervene people inside the cloud, but sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, I don't even know. After you're getting down to 40%, he's gonna do the whole ad spawning again, and remember that you gotta still kick the bellowing roar, you gotta still get inside the cloud when the Waking Nightmare happens. That's very dangerous, you still can die from that never ended. But after 40% he's gonna spawn even more ads, and these ads hit even harder. Just nuke them, just tank them, make sure they are stacked, and nuke them as fast as you can. That's all you can do. You keep tanking the boss. If you're the boss tank, you never stop tanking the boss either, in the same spot, in the same front, so he doesn't hit anybody. And that's it. It's rinse and repeat. It's a lot harder, but it is a rinse and repeat. Finally, at 10%, this part is the actual hard part. At 10% he's gonna enrage, he's gonna do a cachillion damage. If you do not have shield wall up at this moment, you are probably not gonna make it as a tank. I died in this part of the fight, but that was supposed to happen. And this part is a DPS check. If you do not have the DPS to kill him really fast, you're gonna die. You cannot kill the ads in this fight and survive it because the damage is so insane. If you are the AoE tank, the off tank, you can just pick the ads and try to kite them a little bit. You know, like drop an Earthbind or something and try to kite them to like save a little time. Of course, all the DPSers should try to Nova or whatever to keep the ads away from them. But you gotta ignore the ads and you gotta pump till you die. If you got shield wall, that means you're gonna have like a decent 15 seconds of damage for this guy. Otherwise, you're gonna have to wing it. So if you're the off tank, you gotta pay attention in this phase, because if the main tank dies, you gotta pick it right away and hope and pray that you're not the next guy that dies. I died in that fight, a bear picked it up and we went from there. It was still fine, but it was really scary. This is by far the hardest fight in the raid, guys. If you can figure this one out, you're gonna have an easy time on the next one. And the next one is the Avatar of Hakar. As a tank, all you gotta do is pick him up and tank him. Yep, that's the whole mechanic, guys. You can stack rage on the ads before the fights, because there's like an RP thing where there's the 4 guys doing like nyo at the Hakar, but like yeah, just pick it up and tank into a side. That's pretty much it. The DPS and the healers are the ones that gotta deal with the mechanics here. Basically, there's like a debuff that they put on you and you can spread it to other people, so if you get that debuff, you gotta run away from them. You're the tank, you stay on the same place. Okay, I'm just explaining the general part. You're the tank, you pick it up, you tank in there, you do nothing else. If you get the debuff, you move away from everybody else, and then when he's gonna do Drain Blood, you gotta get in front of the boss to cleanse that thing, and that makes you immune for healing for 5 seconds. So that's the part where you can die as a tank too. It is very vital that you explain to your healers as a tank that they gotta top everybody off before Drain Blood goes through, because if Drain Blood goes through and you're low, you're gonna die, you're gonna get healed. We kinda messed this up in the raid, and I had to pop shield wall and then last stand to survive it, but I survived it. It's fine, it's not a hard fight at all. The only real problem of this guy is that he hits like a mother freaking truck, dude. He hits really hard too, so you mess up a single shield block and you die too. If you're not a warrior, once again, ask the warriors to put Thunderclap and Demo Shout on this guy, or you will die too. And if you're in progression, I would probably not do Curse or Reckless Net yet. We're gonna see how they nerf the damage this lockout. I gotta do it tomorrow, and like I might update you, I might put in the comments or something like how easier it feels, like what they changed, but overall, I like Sunken Temple. I think it was a very cool raid. It is a lot harder than I was expecting, and that's good. Of course, we don't want to talk about the time when they accidentally made the bosses unkillable because they went too far, but like, I feel like already in this lockout, post the first wave of nerfs, it feels like a very reasonable raid. Yes, you're gonna wipe off Neranicus like 2 hours. It's gonna happen, you're gonna have to deal with it, you're gonna have to learn, you're gonna have to be patient. It is complex, you gotta get everybody to get it right, it's not simple. But aside from that, I think you can easily get this thing to like a sub 2 hour clear. I don't think, I might be wrong here, but I don't think we're gonna get this thing to like a sub 1 hour clear outside of a speedrunning context, because like this raid is way too big, there's no teleporters anywhere, so it's a little inconvenient. But yeah, I really like Sunken Tempo. I might do like a ranking of the best fights, how I feel about the fights later on, but like, I do not see a single fight here where I think this is stupid. I look at the numbers of Ofiranicus and I think this is stupid, but that's not the fight design. The encounter design is excellent in this raid. This is by far the best raid design I have seen in all of SoD, so props to whoever designed it. Credit where credit is due, it's pretty good. I am gonna drop my new renewed Prot Warrior guide very soon, so you better stay tuned for that. Subscribe, leave a like, join the Discord, and thank you for watching.